Live, local, and late breaking. It's National Signing Day with Adam Gorney. Adam, we know you're talking to a ton of coaches right now. You can watch those on our YouTube channel. But we're jumping in to talk about Trevonte Citizen, the shock of the day as Miami beats out several schools. I mean, put on like 20 hats before taking on. How big of a shocker was this one for you?
Yeah, I thought it was huge. When we talked to him in San Antonio, he was all over the map. And so he finally settled in with Auburn, Florida, LSU. And then Miami kind of got into that mix too as the fourth school. And then, he took his visits and visited LSU and was at Florida for a couple days, then bounced down to Miami. And it just felt like, for a while, Auburn was the school. The rumors, fairly or unfairly, about Cadillac Williams possibly going to the NFL or looking at those opportunities had Auburn slide off over the last 24 hours. So then everybody was like, okay, is he going to stay home at LSU? Is he going to go to Florida? I mean, it didn't really even feel like Miami was that much in the mix. And I'm talking to Mario Cristobal later, and I'll certainly ask him about how those guys felt. But that's absolutely huge because, just a few weeks ago when we talked to him in person, he wasn't really talking about Miami much. Through January, as he was taking his visits, he visited Miami. But in the last couple of days, it didn't really feel like Miami at all. So this is definitely big, a big statement win for Mario Cristobal to go into Louisiana and get a 4-star running back when LSU really wanted him and Florida really wanted him too.
Yeah, it's not easy to go in Louisiana, even though there's a coaching change and stuff like that. That's just not something you do. And it's not like, Cristobal's known for being able to recruit coast to coast, but he wasn't pulling guys from Louisiana to Oregon. So this was a key. I think, Kevin Smith and his arrival at Miami can't be understated here. Of course, he was at Ole Miss. They weren't really in the mix for Citizen, but I mean, he's a charismatic guy. He's from Miami. He played in the NFL. And I think that holds a lot of weight with these guys. And I think that helped lock them up. I mean, you can't underestimate the last visit. I've noticed when we're projecting a lot of these guys today or this week, a lot of the last visits were being ignored. Like last week, it's like, oh, this guy's going to this school. And it's like, but he's visiting another school this weekend. You can't count that out. Why did we all just start doing this? What happened?
Yeah. And the thing with Citizen and where Miami might have had a little bit of luck here was, his loyalty to any program. And this isn't a criticism of him. It was just, kind of a mile wide and an inch deep. He wasn't like locked in with any school. He was committed to LSU for a short time, but he wasn't locked in anywhere. He looked like he was willing to leave the state more than some other kids had been in the past. He had kind of flirted with a bunch of schools. He had looked at schools, even, Michigan State and schools that hadn't really been involved with Louisiana kids a ton. So he was kind of all over the map, and that might have really benefited Miami, be able to come in and swoop in late. But you have to give, like you said, Kevin Smith credit, Mario Cristobal credit to get him on campus, to sell that vision, to make Miami fun, all those things. And it's a huge pickup that can continue to reap rewards going into the 2023 class.
Yeah, and we saw one of the problems at Oregon. They, of course, they had two successful backs in Verdell and Dye, but those were recruited by those are two staffs before. So, they never really got the guy that panned out. That was the star running back at Oregon, and this could be him at Miami. And Miami fans will tell you, they've been underwhelmed with the backs they've had there. So he's a bruiser. He can catch the ball in the backfield. It's a chance to come in and play right away. We're live here as well, Gorney, so we can open up to any comments people have, questions. The rest of the day, the way this plays out is going to be interesting because now we have Shamar Stewart coming up in just a few minutes. And I'm starting to wonder, could Miami steal him too?
Yeah. He's another kid that, and as we talked about, those long-standing relationships at A&M are important, but Mario made him the number one priority by far, and he could stay home. And the decision by Citizen to come into the class could be huge. All of those things are kind of playing a big factor here. Would I be shocked if he picks Miami? Absolutely not. I still think he goes to A&M because of those relationships and what he could do on the defensive line there. The NIL money that's potentially happening. All of those things kind of come into play. It felt like a few weeks ago that Shamar Stewart was going to Texas A&M for sure, but it felt like a few weeks ago that, Trevonte Citizen was absolutely not going to Miami. So, day by day this happens. Momentum is super important. All of the stuff that Miami has tried to do to get Shamar Stewart can definitely pay off here in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, when we look down the rest of the schedule too, we don't have a lot of surprises. I mean, I think we're going to be watching Jacoby Matthews and Harold Perkins. Those are basically, that's going to end the day for us with, who might shock us. But Stewart could kind of, it's going to be a domino effect, because if Texas A&M gets him, that may, clinch the #1 class for them. I've worked here for a decade. I don't know how to do the math.
We have crunched those numbers. Stewart alone probably wouldn't do it. So they would need, I believe, anyone else, including the potential reclassification of LT Overton to the 2022 class, which is now being rumored heavily. We'll see how that plays out over the rest of the day, but I don't believe Stewart would do it alone. But believe me, I'm no mathematician.
Well, anyway, it would be a huge get regardless. I mean, all three of the classes near the top, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas A&M, would probably be #1 in any other year. I mean, when you look at the point totals, it's just the way it shakes out with all of them so loaded. And now you have to think, like, the pressure is going to be on for Texas A&M to deliver if they keep signing these huge classes, because the talent's there. They need to get a quarterback. Maybe it's Wegman, but this should be it. For the pressure's on Jimbo now, right?
Yeah, I think it's been on him, but he's had that to rely on. But the same thing happened with Kirby Smart, and he delivered with a national championship. The pressure started getting on him. You can't keep signing #1 classes and saying you're having all these 5-star recruits and not win. You can't go 8-4 anymore. You can't ask $10 million a year and then more, and then bargain for more if you're not going to win a national championship. So, if you want the big money, if you want big time recruits in College Station, then you got to deliver on the field. And that's not going to be easy in an SEC West that is pretty loaded. But A&M's roster has everything that you could possibly need to get to the college football playoff. And then, you need the talent, you need some luck, you need everything to kind of come together. But certainly this class kind of builds up that roster even more. Wegman, I believe, is maybe one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in this entire class, and fits what Jimbo wants to really do with that offense, and gives him, that athleticism that they've sort of lacked in the last couple of years. So no more excuses. Time to get to the playoff. The bar is set high, but they got the players to do it.
All right, we might pop on again at the end of the night. We might pop on Twitter Spaces. Just depends on how the day breaks, how it goes. We're going to lock in on Shamar Stewart, and be sure to stay locked into Rivals.com, as we have complete coverage of signing day, our YouTube channel filled with coach interviews. Can't wait to hear you and Coach Cristobal. Oh, he's going to give you all the recruiting secrets, I'm sure, right, Gorney?
Oh, always, right before we get on camera.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later.
See you.